What's up stitches, my name is Michael and welcome to or back to my YouTube channel. Today is my second ever project vlog and today, as you've probably already seen, I am going to be knitting the Vivien Halter by Ponder Ply. If you like these videos then do let me know in the comments down below, give this video a like and subscribe. That all lets me know that you guys are interested in seeing these project vlogs, and feel free in the comments below to suggest my next project vlog. I've got a few lined up but I'm happy to hear what you guys want to see from me. If you want to see more photos of my finished projects then head on over to my Instagram at @SmichaelGoesKnitting so you can see more pictures of my beautiful creations. I want to keep this intro short because I am known to babble, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So the Vivien Halter, this is designed by Ponder Ply. The designer's name is Molly May and she designs quite quirky and fun, kind of vintage 80s Austin Powers-y style garments, and I love all of them, but the Vivien Halter was something that I had seen before, I think when it was in testing, and I knew I had to have it, so I bought it as soon as it was released and I started knitting it immediately, but I didn't like how it all was on 3.25 needles, which is what I was suggesting. So I ended up ripping that back and re-knitting it with different needles. I'll talk about that a bit later in the video, but it's very pretty and I very much enjoy it, and it has that very feminine feel to it, which I really like. This pattern is very size inclusive and it goes from sizes XS to 5XL, which ranges from a 28 to 30 inch bust to a 60 to 62 inch bust, so very size inclusive. The yarn that is recommended for this pattern is heavy fingering sport or a light DK yarn. What she has said and what testers have found is you can use heavier weight like Aran yarn, but it just gives a different density. So that, I thought I'd tell you that because I'm going to be using Aran yarn and it's totally fine to use, just need to be aware that it's going to be a lot thicker than what the pattern was initially intended for. The yardage for this pattern is anywhere from 220 yards to 710 yards at the biggest size. The recommended needle size is 3.25 needles and the gauge is 20 stitches per 32 rows. So I didn't swatch this design initially when I first knit it, and I think that's where I came up with some problems because my chest measurement fit very nicely into the large category. However, when I knit it up initially it was really tight and I really wasn't sure why that was. Turns out my gauge was completely off, and so I ended up going up a needle size, up a couple of needle sizes to 4mm needles, and I then met the gauge. So that's why my yarn and needles are different to what's recommended in the pattern, but so long as you get gauge it really shouldn't be an issue. So other materials you will need are one button, which is 15mm. I have assorted buttons, so I'm probably just going to end up using whatever button I find that seems to fit. I also need sewing needle, thread, darning needle, scissors, stitch marker. And I have all of those things, so that's not an issue. One thing I will say about this is it gives you a lot of instruction regarding choosing your size. There's a whole page on what size, so it tells you that the Vivien is designed with 0 to 2 inches of negative ease and how to measure yourself, what testers found during the test phase, for the neckband, how that should be done, so there's a lot. And also she's given nice levels of, so the cutout peekaboo sections, she's done 3 different levels: breezy, which is like the least, the shallowest, cheeky, and then freaky, which is like the really deep peekaboos. So for pattern notes, she said, the Vivien Halter has been designed with negative ease, so she fits you nice and snugly, cuddling that gorgeous bod. She features a knit-in waist, crop length, a cheeky peekaboo windows coming in a variety of depths. Vivien buttons closed at the neck for a fitted halter, leaving the back open and flirty. What I love about this, obviously, patterns aren't in any way going to discriminate people directly, but I love how Molly is so body positive and she's trying to uplift people whilst she's delivering these patterns. So I just feel really positive reading this pattern. For the construction. The Vivien Halter is knitted from the bottom up, starting with the twisted rib band in the round. Her body is then knit in stockinette with gradual increases to accommodate your bust. Her back is then ribbed and cast off, at which point her front gets your full attention. The centre peekaboo window is added first by binding off centre stitches, then the left and right sides are worked separately before all remaining front stitches are added back to needle to create the neckband. She's got a nice schematic and loads of information for you, loads of different sizes so you can kind of see everything that you need. She's got a nice glossary, and then it goes on to the pattern. One thing, maybe I've missed it. I don't know. It's very clear. The pattern is very clear, each section is set out quite nicely. However, she's not giving you a list of what techniques you'll need to have, and obviously that's probably just me being nitpicky, but I quite like to know what sort of techniques I'm going to be using when knitting. She says it in the construction, so obviously there's twisted rib, knitting in the round, casting on, casting off. I just think for me I would prefer a nice list. It might not be what everyone wants, but that's just me. I also like at the end of the pattern she has got how to strike a hashtag Ponder Ply power pose, and there's a bullet point list of how to strike that hashtag Ponder Ply power pose, which is a nice bit of alliteration there. I'm very excited for this project. So for my personal The Vivien, as I've mentioned before, I couldn't get gauge before, so now I am going up to 4mm needles. I'm still using the same Aran yarn in Pesto. You will have seen that if you saw my podcast last week, but I'll show you on screen now what it looks like. This is an Aran weight yarn and I've got quite a lot of it, so I decided I'd like to use that, and it's also very pretty. I also am going to be making some alterations. So for the main body where there is just straight stockinette with increases, I'm going to increase the number of straight stockinette rows between the increases, just so it comes a little bit longer on me. When I tried it on the first time, when I didn't have gauge, I recognised this is different, but it was quite short and I'd quite like to wear this maybe tucked into some jeans or something, so that's what those alterations are what I'm going to make. I'm going to be knitting the freaky version, the most deep window, because that's what Molly has said the pattern was designed for, so that's what I'm going to do. I have got a short montage to show the construction of this garment. If you want to skip ahead, then please go to the time on the screen now. Other than that, enjoy my montage. And here we have it, the finished Vivien Halter. I'm not actually wearing it right now because it's really cold and I don't want to be sat around in quite a breezy halter top, but I thought I'd have it on like this. I will also show you some clips of me twirling around in the top. I'm gonna take this off now. So yeah, the Vivien is done. Big fan of how it's turned out. My partner likes it as well. I personally think the freaky doesn't show too much. Maybe it's just my personal chest, but it's not as scary to wear as I thought it would be. I was kind of putting myself out of my comfort zone, but it's really not that bad. It doesn't show, I can wear a nice bra underneath it and it doesn't show off, so that's all good. This is definitely, now it's coming to winter, maybe I'll try and style it over a long sleeve plain colour top, maybe like a black or a white plain coloured top, because I can't be wearing this in a British winter. But yeah, it's really nice. I'm really happy with how it turned out. There are a couple of things. I don't know if it's how I knit, I don't know if I knit loose, but I got gauge for this one. It just seems a bit loose, and the back, Molly suggests that you use a stretchy bind off for the back rib portion, which I did. She did, however, warn us that some people found that to be a bit too loose. I didn't think I had a larger bust and a smaller back. Maybe I do. But yeah, it hangs a bit loose on the back, so maybe if I were to do that in future, I'd probably do a standard bind off and not a stretchy bind off, just so it gives me that more support. But generally it is a bit looser than I was expecting, but then it does only have 0 to 2 inches of negative ease, so maybe I would knit it smaller in the future. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Maybe it's the weight of yarn, maybe that's what it is. I haven't blocked this because I don't want it to be any bigger, any looser on me. And also, I kind of like the rolled effect here on the little peekaboo windows. I quite like how that looks, and I think it gives it some nice character. And the side being rolled as well, I think it just looks nice and clean. So I'm not going to do anything to change that, and I don't think anything else really needs blocking. So I am going to refrain from blocking this. In terms of the pattern, there were a couple of bits that were slightly confusing. I think I may have found an error in that, but I did message Molly, and she's away travelling at the moment, but she was very kind and she was very happy that I pointed that out to her. So that's obviously, you know, things slip through the cracks. It was just kind of one number that was slightly wrong, I think. But yeah, no, the pattern was really easy to understand. There were certain things, as a kind of intermediate knitter, I was very comfortable understanding what she meant. But I imagine a beginner might struggle a little bit with certain things. Like there were points where she didn't tell us whether or not to break the yarn. And she didn't explain how, on certain points, I think we needed to do long tail cast on for the back band. So it was constructed, these bits were constructed separately, joined together, and then we cast on separate stitches to make the neckband. We used long tail cast on, but obviously it was in the middle of work, so I wasn't sure how to do long tail cast on because you only had one strand. I worked it out in the end and I kind of just did it separately. But yeah, those are my only little critiques. Is that a kind word? Because honestly, I'm loving this. and I'm going to try and wear it as much as I can in winter, but when it comes to summer I'm going to be living with this. It's also nice because it's the same yarn that I used for my ripple butt shorts the first time round. The second time round I did a project vlog of that, and you can see it up here if you want to see the construction of my ripple butt shorts. But yeah, it matches the ripple butt shorts. It also goes with the ripple bralette, so it's nice. It looks nice in jeans. I also have a skirt that I think it will look quite nice in. And just generally, like, the increases are barely noticeable, but they're quite nice looking. I used quite a stretchy cast on. I used the Norwegian cast on method, so it's nice and stretchy here and goes over my shoulders nicely. However, I don't know if that was all that necessary because it's fine. Like, I don't think the long tail cast on would have hindered me in any way, shape or form. Yeah, so if I were to rate this with my not really clear, doesn't have fixed parameters rating technique, I probably would go with a 4. I think 4 stars is very fair because I love this so much. I love the way the neckband looks when it's on. But there were just those few, like, it didn't have the techniques list, and there was a little bit of confusion on my part maybe. So yeah, 4 stars, I think that's fair. And so that's my video. If you watched my podcast last week, which you should have, you will know that my next project is going to be a life-sized Among Us crewmate. I've already knit a couple little ones. I've got a tiny one, slightly bigger one, and now I'm knitting a life-sized crewmate. So if you're interested in seeing that, subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss my uploads on that. For my next project vlog, I'm thinking about doing the Cozy Classic Light by Jessie May. I mentioned it in my podcast last week, but I've got some really nice fingering weight hand-dyed yarn that I want to use for a Cozy Classic Light. I do need to get some more needles. My 3.25s have sadly died. That's what I get for using cheap needles. So I'm probably going to buy myself a nice interchangeable needle set soon for that. So if you're excited for my project vlog, give this video a like so I know that you guys enjoy this kind of project vlog. And please feel free to let me know what you guys want to see next from me. What sort of patterns, if you have a specific design in mind, or just a general idea of what you want to see in these project vlogs. I don't know whether the crewmate video will be out next week. I'm going to try my hardest to try and speed knit to a point where I can make the video. I might have to do it in parts because I haven't got all the stuffing and I don't really know how much stuffing I'm going to need for a life-size crewmate. So I might do kind of the body, outer casing thing in one video and then stuffing and the backpack and the visor in another video. So that's what you have to look forward to. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end. I really appreciate you guys. If you want to see more of what I'm doing, head on over to my Instagram at @SmileGrows_Knitting, where you can get nice little updates on my stories and more pictures of all the projects and things I'm working on at the moment. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you soon. Stay wholesome and happy knitting.